Hey, sister, sitting store, what am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door, watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way. But don't let that get you down, girl.
Hey, sister. It is day 23. I am here with the lovely Miss Emma. How are you doing, Emma?
I am good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
This is my absolute pleasure. We talk a lot, like meetings and structured stuff about work stuff, but we keep running into each other in the most random places, and ending up positioned at the same table, you know. And so I'm really looking forward to just chatting.
Yeah, me too. I feel like I need to know you more on a personal level because
it's true, right? It's true. Like we interact so much in like, you know, our official spaces. So it's good. It's good every once in a while for women of, you know, similar communities, you know, for us women of African heritage. Were you born in Ghana or here?
I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, but I am getting into my core, I always say.
Oh, is it all I can think about when anybody mentions like Alberta is freezing cold? Is it that bad over there? Or is it not so bad?
Well, admittedly, I left when I was like 6 years old, but from the little snapshot that I remember, it was quite cold. But you know what? Like Toronto weather is really competing with the cold. So yeah, it's Canada. Yeah. So
we take what we get, right?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. Now, Emma, thank you again for being willing to do this. I want to, before we really jump into the chat, talk about the organization you work with. Because of the work we've been doing together, the conversations we've been having, we've centered on the Beautiful Foundation, which is our nonprofit partner for this year. But in other spaces, we've been working together. And I want to just kind of give a little bit of pay some homage to a really amazing woman in Jean Augustine and talk about the work that you're doing with her. So tell us.
Okay, I love writing about the Jean Augustine Center. So this is an easy one to jump right into. So I'm the executive director of the Jean Augustine Center for Young Women's Empowerment. It is the brainchild, it's the baby, the passion project of the Honorable Jean Augustine. If for those who aren't aware, the Honorable Jean Augustine was the first Black woman in Parliament. She hails from Grenada. She came to Canada, and she's made such an impact and become such an inspiration for women, people in general, but women of color, minority groups. Just so many people have resonated with the work. She's resonated with through her work with so many people. And after she left government, she still wanted to do something. She still wanted to create an impact because that's the kind of woman she is. So she was retired and she said, no, I still want to create this space for young women. So her idea was to create an empowerment center for girls where girls could come in, they could learn skills, they can have a safe community, they can connect with peers and mentors. And that was established almost 7 years ago. We're located in South Etobicoke, this little cute area of South Etobicoke. Yeah.
Please say the name because we know how much people from that area love that particular little spot of Etobicoke. So please tell us.
Yeah, so we're in Mimico. So like right in Mimico, just off of Royal York, and Evans Avenue. So, and we're in this cool industrial building that we've turned into a center. Nadia, you have to come see it. I know I've
I
always said that.
do.
Yeah, yeah, you have to come see it because outside it's very misleading. It's like this industrial building, but when you walk in, we have a full kitchen, like an industrial kitchen. We have a physical fitness room. We have a multi-purpose room. We have art spaces. The girls come there, and then it's an opportunity for them to participate in free programming. So we offer after school camp and various workshops throughout the year, and it's free programming where the girls can engage in academics, they can engage in arts and leadership, mentorship, physical and mental health. Like, we do everything at the center because we really want girls to be able to find a home and find something that they connect with at this Jean Augustine Center. And as with everyone, with COVID, we had to pivot. I was telling my friend that I'm so sick of the word pivot because I feel like we all use it. So, but we had to pivot, and we pivot to an online platform. So now we're doing most of the programs that we had in person online. And the beauty of it, though, is we've been able to expand our reach. So we are like international. Like, right now, if you can register, if you can log in, then you can participate in our programming. And so all the information's on the website, and they just register through that, and then they're good to go.
No, I did not know that. I got a whole bunch of young Caribbean girls that you might start seeing emails from all of a sudden.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Yes. Hello, Carolee. So yeah, that is amazing. And you know what? It's so true because it's the same work you were doing before, but now all of a sudden your impact is multiplied using technology. And I was thinking recently, a lot of the technology that we're benefiting from today in the pandemic was here like 5-10 years ago, right? We just didn't really, our minds weren't there yet, right? Because we were like, okay, well, we'll meet for coffee, or, we'll do it physically together. And now this has become so normalized. I expect that a lot of it will remain even when we can get together physically, or, even like a hybrid of things, because now we're creating these massive communities from all over, and so then you don't want to leave the girls out when you go back to in person, because now you've been interacting with them and learning about them. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. It's been such an amazing opportunity. With every downside, there's an upside, and this has really been the upside for us. And it's worked well. And when we are back to an in-person model, we're going to do a two-pronged approach. So in person, it'll be South Etobicoke girls, but then online, it'll be girls from wherever they can register.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you guys have a community garden too, right?
Yes, we have a community garden, which the man that helps us with the garden, he's been calling me. He's like, we need to start up the garden. It's because last year we started late. So we have a beautiful little urban garden where we grow vegetables and a few fruits. And our goal is to give that back to the community. So we're really, really going to really focus on it this year to have a good harvest. I don't have a green thumb, so I'm probably not using the right terminology, but we really want to have a good harvest and give that out. And we also support women in the community. So since COVID-19, we have been able to receive some funding to hand out food gift cards to women who are experiencing food insecurity, and as well as hygiene kits. And that has really caught on. It's supporting a lot of women, and we're hoping to continue to secure funding to continue this program moving forward.
Yes, absolutely. Because when you are supporting the girls, they're not the decision makers in their homes, and so we are able to impact them and their futures, but sometimes they need help with the impact of right now, and that means reaching out to mommy, daddy, auntie, the community around the girls, and being able to touch them and support them as well. Thank you for sharing all about Jean Augustine Center. Now, tell me about you.
Oh, wow. I could have talked for an hour about Gene Augustine Center. Talking about me, it might be like a snapshot, but this is good practice for me. As I was, Nadia, we were chatting about a little earlier, just it's sometimes a little challenging to talk about yourself or myself, just, because maybe it's little parts of cultural, parts of timid, parts of so many things, but this is good practice. So thank you for this opportunity. So about me, who am I? I am, as you said, I'm a Ghanaian woman. I was born in Edmonton, Alberta, but raised by two Ghanaian parents who instilled their traditions and culture in me. I don't speak the language fully, but I understand. A few like commands and stuff like that. And so I was raised by two wonderful parents who, although lived separately, were divorced, still were very much a family unit and raised my brother and I in a family unit. Even up until when my mom moved to Ghana, we were still having family Christmases together. And
Wow.
my parents are very close. They've been friends since they've known each other since teenagers. So I've come from, I always say I'm very blessed to come from a really great family. We're very loving and very supportive of each other. And so I moved here from Toronto, from Edmonton to Toronto, and was raised in Mississauga. And with most families, especially immigrant families, you come and you're told you're either going to be a doctor,
Right.
lawyer, or an accountant. And so that's what I thought I was going to go to university and do. I was going to become a lawyer and, really get into the work. And once I got into university, I realized, I don't think so. I like reading that like long text and major essays. So I studied political science, and then I, after graduation, I was like, what now?
Mhm.
And no one was hiring, so I ended up falling into insurance. Like, when you graduate, you just take any job you want, you can get, because you need to pay bills. So I fell into insurance and realized this was not for me. Like, I like people. I want to help. I want to impact. And so I managed to pivot that into working in risk management for a big not-for-profit or charity. And through that risk management lens, I got to start to dip my toe into other parts of the charitable sector, and really I got involved in committees, and I networked with people, and I go to different departments just to be like, oh, so what do you do? And that, and I was doing that background learning as I was doing that. And then I managed to get this opportunity. This came about, and I was like, okay, I like risk management, but there's so much more I want to do. I want to do more. I want to work for a smaller organization where you get to see the direct impact. I want to meet people. I want to have a real hand in programs and all those operational components that you get when you work with a small organization. So I fell into this. Not fell into this. I think it was aligned that I became an executive director for the center. And since then, I've thrown myself into my work, and that's good and bad. That's good and bad, because it's a passion of mine, but I had to at one time take a step back and be like, whoa, your self-care. What's happening here? Yeah. So I was like, I wasn't, following up on my doctor's appointments. My friends were falling to the wayside. Even dating was like pushed to the side. And so I've consciously now made the effort to really get back into who am I, and finding the balance between all of my passions and my self-care.
And so that's been a big lesson for a lot of us, especially when we are doing something that we are passionate about. It's not like you wouldn't rather be doing it. It's not like you don't have this major desire. You're going to sleep, you're thinking about it, you're waking up, you're thinking about it. Everything within you wants this organization and the girls and women that you serve to thrive and to do well. And so, there's all of that there. And then we come to the point where we realize, oh, wait a minute, if I am strung out, I can't actually do any of these things that I want to do,
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And then we're also leading by example, right? We want that the girls and the women whose lives we're impacting recognize, oh, self-care is important. So, we as visionary women at the helm, we do then have to also consider that example too. And it's hard. It's hard
It's
because
hard.
the demands keep coming, don't they?
It's hard to put yourself first. And I wish there were 48 hours in a day instead of 24 hours in a day. And I could master it all of that, but there aren't. It's hard, but you have to be conscious about that, because my thing is I never want to have any I shoulda, coulda, woulda
Right.
done this. So I really try and prioritize what needs to be prioritized outside of work, because I commit to my work, but there's so many other pieces as well.
Yeah. It reminds me of a time when I was working at the United Nations in Barbados, and I went to the airport. Can't even remember why I was at the airport, but it was late at night, and I saw a colleague, and he was about to board, and I said, "Oh, I didn't realize you were flying out on mission tonight." He's like, "Yes, well, in our line of work, there's 24 hours in the day, and then there's the night." So you managed to make 24 hours 48.
For sure. Yeah. Especially now working from home. Oh, you can work around the clock. So
Right? But I'm sure for passionate women, visionary women, if we had 48 hours in a day, we'd fill that up too.
yeah.
So yeah, that striking of balance and harmony still remain important. Now, you talked about this, falling into situations, but then they still kind of led you, along this path of really honing in and zeroing in on your passion and where you want to make that impact. And like you said, put it all on the table and not, have to leave with I should have, right? In that process, where did you start, I would say, like creating a vision for yourself? And do you think that vision is important in your opinion? What would you say is the importance of vision?
Yeah, for sure. Vision is so important. And I think I had a late start developing my vision. I don't think I had it in university or in my early mid 20s. I think I didn't come into myself in terms of what I wanted and who I was until I got to my late 20s, early 30s. And that's when my vision started to align of what I wanted to do in life specifically. And the vision became the goalpost. It still is. I'm still not where I want to be, but it's given me direction and it's given me focus, and it's allowed me to really learn and really grow and connect with people who support me in getting to where I need to go. Yeah.
Yeah. And I really want our young women to hear that, that it's not that you are, imbibed at 5 years old with this perfect outline for the rest of your life and everything flows from there. That defining of our vision takes time, and it takes some trial and error. It takes sometimes lots of big mistakes, some small mistakes, all sorts of things come into play to create what we are now talking about, where we can say, I am a visionary woman. I do have these big dreams and goals that I'm working hard to create, to bring to fruition. So I want our young women to hear that, as you hear visionary women talking, understand that does not necessarily mean that, this was always what it was. And it is in the doing sometimes that we are able to better define that. Funny enough, we've been talking all this time. I also started off in insurance and I'll use your word, pivoted to to development. When I was in university, I remember standing up in a line at a career fair, and we had a separate risk management school. So it was just risk management and actuarial science, and I was doing actuarial science. And one day I was in the line and I was just looking down at my resume. You know, you give like a quick look over before you get to the top. And I realized nothing on my resume had anything to do with math except for my schoolwork. I was raising awareness for this and raising funds for that, and doing plunges and all sorts of things. That's where I spent my time. And that was a big deal for me. I was like, this is the point in my life when I will have the most time that I can give to different things. And this is where I'm choosing to give my time. I love math, but it's obviously not what I'm passionate about. And that started like this whole whirlwind of, so what am I going to do? And so, yes, I did end up in development eventually, similarly. Uh, now, throughout this process, I'm so happy to hear you say things like you feel like you were raised in a very loving home. And even though your parents weren't together, they co-parented in a way that it doesn't sound as though you missed out on having two parents that were fully involved, which is really amazing to hear, and shows a lot of maturity on your parents' part as well. And then we talked about, being women and being Black women and managing perceptions and all of this before we came on. Has there ever been a point in your life where you felt as though you were ready to use your voice, but it was silenced or diminished, or you weren't ready to use your voice when you may have had a chance?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll say yes and no to that question. And why I say that, I think just, growing up in a very, a Ghanaian household, and it's a patriarchal society. It's very male dominated. And also I was the youngest. So within the household, although loving, although supportive, my voice wasn't top dog in the house. It will never be top dog or amongst my family. So like, but that didn't break me. It made me stronger. If you talk to any family friends, they'll tell you I'm a very strong person. I'm respectful, but I'm very strong about my opinions. And that was developed because I felt my voice wasn't heard within the home sometimes as much as I would have loved it to be. So that really encouraged it. Outside of the home, in the more school professional setting, I can't think of a specific time where like my voice was shut down, but it's been more like
Right.
micro times where I felt like maybe I wasn't heard in the way I wanted to be heard or received in the way I wanted to be heard. For example, when I was at one of my previous employers, I knew I could do more. Like I knew I had the ability to do more. It might not have been on my resume, but I would say I'm a quick learner. I ask questions and I can do it. But I felt that I wasn't being given that opportunity. Like I was going to do my work plus the work that you gave me, but I wasn't given that opportunity to really spread my wings and to grow. So although I loved the organization I worked for and I loved the community that the organization supported, I just needed to find another opportunity to really have my voice heard and to spread my wings. And that's given me the opportunity to do so. I think also sometimes I could read very young, even though I'm not. I'm not like it's changing now. Unfortunately, I'm like no, I want to still look young, but sometimes I read younger than I actually am, and so sometimes I feel like I need to not posture myself a little bit more just to be like I've been doing this for a few years. I know what I'm talking about, and I respect your opinion, but I have this to contribute as well. So there's little factors, little micro, I don't want to call them microaggressions, but little micro incidences where I felt my voice wasn't really being amplified.
Yeah. And you talked on, again, that intersectionality, right? It's being a woman in some places, being young in some places, being the little one, right? The little girl of the family. And no matter how old you get, you're still there, and just being in different places where the expectations are constantly changing. And like you said, you're then having to represent your own self in different ways to manage and to suit. And I think a lot of us have dealt with that and have definitely experienced that. And again, I want to pull that out for our young people who are listening, that you do have voice. And first of all, you or like, I don't know how old you are because you started calling numbers like, oh, wait a minute. You look really young, so
Yeah.
embrace that, right? Like, spending so much money on creams to get what you got. But I really want our young people to also hear that, that as we develop our own voice and we become in tuned with that voice, that sometimes we are put in positions where we have to repackage it. But that strength and that core center remain, to be able to say, okay, well, this is my personality, this is my knowledge, this is what I bring to the table, etc. So now you're at a place where you're doing what you're passionate about. You're seeing that impact. You're on the ground. You're able to inspire and make decisions that matter. And so now we get to this point where you can tell the story how you want it to be told. You can dictate the narrative and decide on the version. How does that make you feel?
Wow, how does that make me feel? Um, it I always say it's good and bad. It comes with with a great reward comes great responsibility. And so I know the direction I take, the onus will be on me. Like the decisions I make, the steps I take in my future will be because I've chosen to do so. And so I want to be very conscious to make the right choices. So it's a little nerve wracking because, I'm always in a period of growth and learning, and and so it's a little nerve wracking. Am I making the right decision? Am I going in the right direction? Like, when do you decide maybe it's not the right direction anymore? Like, when do you pivot, and try something else? So, but also with doing that though it's a great joy. There's a freedom for sure in knowing that I have so many opportunities ahead of me, and that through my own doing, plus the support and God and so many other things, I am able to, wake up each day and work in the direction of my passion and my goals and my vision. So there's joy, but there's responsibility that comes with it.
Yes. And you know what? It is nerve-wracking when we start to realize that there's a shift that we're allowed to make. Because when we come into a question like this, it kind of creates a dividing line. It's, oh, yes, I can take control of the narrative of my past, but that also means I don't have to wait for the next 10 years to be in my past to take control of the narrative. I take control of that narrative from today with the decisions that I make going forward, and then that kind of creates this point in time that says, okay, things happen to me here, and I was growing. I was now figuring it out. I didn't know what that meant. Now I know, and like you said, we're in constant growth. And so there are other points in times where that'll happen, but that'll happen somewhere else. It won't happen in the same places because now I figured a few things out, and then that's where that joy and empowerment come in, because like, oh, I can actually pre-write the scripts, in many ways. And it really reminds me, my mom always used to say when I was a teenager, and I couldn't get it. It didn't make sense when I was a teenager. She's like, oh, you just need to make a decision. It's like, what does that even mean? I don't even get to decide if I'm having eggs or tuna for breakfast. How am I going to make a major life decision all of a sudden? Oh my gosh. Now, we think in our community here at HERstory that if we go through this process of connecting and defining our vision and elevating, amplifying our voices, and choosing when, where, and how we use our voice, taking control of the version of our story that we want to be told, that this would usher us into a life of victory. And victory is a word that I find isn't generally used in relation to women. And so the images that we tend to have presented to us, we know what they look like, right? But having gone through this process and, continuing through it, and in your role as a visionary woman, what imagery comes to your mind when you hear a word like victory?
Yeah. So for me, victory is being at peace with my decisions and where I am in life, and being joyful. And joyful is not being happy and like celebrating and, backflips. It's having this overwhelming peace and ease and comfort that we are exactly where you need to be. And that's my goal, to wake up each day with that peace and that joy in my spirit, knowing that I'm exactly where I need to be and on the path that I need to be on. That's victory for me.
Absolutely. And I love that you talk about being able to wake up every morning, because in this conversation, victory isn't about the one place, the one circumstance, the one episode. It's about this life and living of victory and being able to walk in it every single day and, wake up and feel it every day. Thank you so much, Emma,
You're
for
welcome.
doing this with us. And I want everyone else to know, if you want to go deeper, we've made sure that you can connect with Emma and I almost said the beautiful foundation, because no, it just rolls off the tongue. And the Jean Augustine Center. And if you would like to go deeper in these conversations with us at HERstory, our masterminds are beginning in April. We have 5 masterminds for our members every month, led by 5 different visionary women from 3 different countries. We are really intentional about bringing diversity of thought and perspective to all of these topics that we've been discussing here: vision, voice, version, and victory. And we are taking this time to pour into ourselves as visionary women, to come together in a community of women who get it. We get that we're passionate about 10 things. We get that we're highly energetic. We get that, our dreams are really massive and we don't always quite know how to connect the dots, but we know it's not just out there, but it's calling us from in here and we have to respond to it. And so, we've created this opportunity for these visionary women who are leading in nonprofits, leading in entrepreneurship, leading in their professional careers, to come together and to have real, meaningful, open conversations that help us all to reflect and to be inspired and to grow. So once again, Emma, thank you.
Thank you. And if I could just say thank you, Nadia, for having me, and thank you for your support of the Jean Augustine Center and just empowering young women and like providing this platform for women to connect. It's amazing. It's very inspiring, and thank you for having me.
To all of our sisters who've been watching us live, thank you for joining us. If you're watching on the replay, remember to hashtag replay and let us know what resonates with you, so that we can continue the conversation long after today. So my sisters, I forgot to mention, Lord, Sophia would be so upset with me. We have an event coming up in April. It's called Hey Sister, Let's Color. That link is also below. And again, it's about self-care, leading by example, practicing what we preach, and coming together and having some collective me time. If you can get that concept, you're at home, but virtually we're all together and we're talking about some real stuff, as opposed to just like pondering it in your own mind and actually getting real feedback on something that, so we're looking at affirmations and the role that they play in our lives, and how the words that are connected to the images in the coloring book are impacting us and helping us to make better decisions for ourselves, and therefore deeper impact in our communities, for our clients, our customers, however we choose to show up and serve in the world. So that link is also below. Sorry about that. And we'll be back here tomorrow and every day in March at noon Eastern time with another conversation with another amazingly phenomenal visionary woman. I will see you back here tomorrow, ladies. Bye.
Bye.
Hey, sister, sitting store, what am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way.